Senator Cramer.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you to our witnesses, to both of you. Let me start out, Mr. Assistant Secretary, by thanking you. You know, we're in 2024 when we passed the bill that, or the law that required the Army to form the Western Water Cooperation Committee. I had 2+ years of stalling. Oh, by the way, it was due in 90 days after we passed it, or after it was implemented. You stepped in and it got done, and I appreciate that, because that's part of what we're talking about. Many of the things we're talking about don't require, with all due respect, a brand new elevation report. The land has been the same for a long, long time, and there's just a lot of stuff we know. But just forming a committee, thank you for doing that. It means a lot to me that you stepped up and did that. And on the topic we've discussed a little bit, generally speaking, the administration has embraced doing more with less, being more efficient with the people's money, not just throwing personnel and dollars after every challenge as though somehow that's going to magically fix things. It's a breath of fresh air, and I'm fully supportive of it. In the past, especially with the Corps, something we've heard a lot is we just don't have enough staff to do things. So we give them a whole bunch more staff, and so that means more lawyers get to read the same thing over and over. More engineers get to look at the same thing over and over and stall longer for, with regard to the law. And I think the smarter approach is streamlining things and eliminating unneeded regulations and ultimately reducing the workload, not just the workforce, but your workload. Specifically, Mr. Secretary, with regard to the Corps, do you believe that pre-COVID staffing levels are adequate to deliver a lot of the things you're hearing about today and the task in front of you?
Senator Cramer, thank you for the question, and thank you for working with us on the Western Water Committee. I agree with you that a larger bureaucracy doesn't necessarily mean better results for the American taxpayer. And as you intelligently point out, the staffing levels within the United States Army Corps of Engineers mirror the staffing levels of the United States Army Corps of Engineers prior to the pandemic. I believe that with modern technology, with better forms of cooperation with our non-federal sponsors, I think about the project in Fargo in your state, I think we can deliver more to the American taxpayers with a staff that looks a whole lot like the staff prior to the pandemic. And so thank you for addressing that. I think the answer to your question is yes.
Thank you for addressing it. Like I said, let's reduce the workload along with the workforce, because it seems to me there's a lot of redundancy. In fact, I mean, just listening to the discussion a little bit ago, throughout the morning, I find it frustrating that years go by. I mean, with regard to just one example in North Dakota, noxious weeds. We're to 2020, over 5 years ago, I passed a law that requires a report on how to deal with noxious weeds. I hear it over and over from landowners that border Corps land. It's over 3 years late, the report. In other words, they're never going to do it. I'm sure it's in some well-intentioned bureaucrat's pile. But the law didn't say, get around to it when you can. And what I was going to say about the nuance of things. When in doubt, obey the law. It's not, I don't call my wife if I get picked up for speeding to see what I should do about it. I slow down. Our laws are not arbitrary. They're not open-ended to just, do your best. So a report on noxious weeds, and noxious weeds is a good example. I'm glad you brought up technology, because the farmers that farm the land right next to Corps land know exactly how to do it. You could just have a cup of coffee with the guy next door, and they tell you exactly how to get rid of the noxious weeds in a safe manner. Because guess what? The farmers make a living off that land. They're not even just doing it because, the government told them they should. They're doing it because they have to feed a hungry world, and they know how to do it. So let's default to yes, and that's what I appreciate about you, Mr. Secretary. You default to what's possible. How do we do the possible? Okay, that's the law. How creative can we get within the law to get to yes? And the default at the Corps for decades has been, no, we can't do that, even though the law says you have to do that. So maybe I'll just, General, if you want to speak a minute or two about the noxious weed issue. I don't know how familiar you are with it, but really it's now over 3 years late, that report. And why is that?
Senator Cramer, I believe that report, as you kind of alluded to, is still under administration review, but
we absolutely want to be great neighbors with our partners up there and leverage every bit of local knowledge that we have with the farmers out there, with the tribes out there, so that we can steward this land for the American people to the best of our ability.
Okay, good. Well, let's just give more of it back to the tribes and the farmers, and they can steward it really, really well.